right, welcome back. Thank you for joining us right here on Business Today. And today, right now, we are going to be talking about freelancing business. And joining me to discuss this is Idoreyin Obong, who is the CEO of Grey Inc., coming to us all the way from Nigeria. And welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelvin.
Welcome to Kenya.
Welcome.
All right. Now, the freelancing business. Sometimes you ask someone, what do you do? I freelance.
Yeah.
So to you, what does freelancing mean?
Freelancing is basically you being your own boss. That means you get to choose the jobs you want to do, at what point you want to do them. You give your clients your rates, and after you're done, you get paid. So it's basically you having the flexibility that other employees or workers don't have, in the sense that you get to choose what you're working on when you're working on it. So basically being your own boss.
It's being your own boss.
Yeah.
And I believe by being your own boss, there are some challenges that usually come. And you now being a CEO of a company, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced before, or you experienced when you were starting?
When you were starting Grey or as a freelancer?
Grey.
Yeah. I think first standard problem that startups face is getting access to funding. Every startup needs fund to actually be able to grow fast, to actually be able to penetrate the market, and so on and so forth. But as a freelancer in the past, because I was once a freelancer, I think one of the major problems I faced was having to get paid. And that's like a major problem that a lot of freelancers today face. How do we get paid? Even after getting access to clients, maybe via Upwork, Fiverr, and so on, how do you get paid? And that's like the major questions that freelancers ask today.
All right, and now looking also at freelancing, 10.1%, there was a report I think I read in 2018, 10.1% globally of freelancers are coming from Africa.
Yeah.
What does this mean to you when you look at such a report?
Well, I think it shows that, number one, that at that point, freelancing in Africa was just relatively new. And there are like major challenges why we may have had that number. But let's also remember that right now, freelancing in Africa has become a lot more popular. Number one being with COVID, where a lot of companies now feel comfortable hiring people from literally anywhere. For the first time in the West, we are seeing companies in the West being very, very comfortable hiring employees, remote workers from literally anywhere, so far as you're good enough. And so we are seeing this trend. And secondly, maybe one of the challenges freelancing has had is because of low internet penetration here in Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, you would realize that the three countries with the biggest internet penetration is Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana. A lot of other African countries are still having very low internet penetrations, and that has affected that volume of freelancing in Africa so far.
All right, and earlier on when you were speaking, you talked about income and getting paid. Now, how can freelancers maximize just their income through mitigating currency risk? Because now you realize moving from one country to the other, there is also a currency risk. So how can freelancers, maybe someone who wants to freelance all over Africa, how can they make sure that at least they maximize their income?
Thank you. I think one of the major problems right now, like I mentioned, is knowing how to get paid. There are some solutions out there, but you realize that by the time you're getting paid, you're shortchanged because of currency exchange and so on and so forth. And that's why we built Grey, where we give freelancers, remote workers, foreign accounts that they can use to receive their salaries, their payment, and they can convert it instantly to their local currency and pay out to their bank accounts or mobile money. And so this way, you're very, very assured of your fees, your rates, that you're getting, and there isn't any hidden charge. And so I would say the major problem why maybe freelancers may not have been able to get fully maximize their income has been traditional methods where after they get paid, they realize that they're either shortchanged by currency exchange or fees taken by intermediary banks and so on and so forth. And that's the problem we're trying to solve, where freelancers are comfortable, have access to global facilities, to global and modern tools, foreign accounts to receive their payments and be able to convert to local currencies.
And even as you talk about foreign accounts, how easy is it? Because sometimes foreign accounts can be really tricky. So how easy is it using it?
On Grey, it's very, very easy. Once you register and you do your KYC, you request for it, it's instant. So for us, we've made the process easy. We've done the hard work. We've done all the hectic compliance work, and we've made it very easy for freelancers, so they don't have to worry or go through a lot of stress just to get it.
All right, thank you for that. Now let's look at in Kenya and what Grey Inc. is trying to do. So what are some of the things that you've come into the country, and what are some of the things that you expect to do?
So we basically are trying to make freelancing easier for Kenyans by giving them accounts, and then they are able to pay out to mobile money, M-Pesa, and so on a very basic skill. That is what we're trying to do. We are also trying to build something for digital nomads, which is what Grey is for actually as well, so that if you're ever having to travel across borders, you don't necessarily need to interact with the banking facilities of the country you're going in there. We want a situation where people from other countries can comfortably travel to other African countries as well and not need to directly interact with the banking services there. And Grey is like solving that entire problem for you, so you don't have to think or stress about that.
All right, and now, even as you are saying you're trying to help freelancers, you know, someone might come and say, okay, I'm working, but I also want help from Grey, but I won't tell them that I'm working. So what are some of the requirements? What proves to you that someone really is into the freelance business?
Right, so part of the basic I would say due diligence we do is getting to know like where you work. We might request for some information about where you work. If you're a freelancer, let's say on Fiverr, you could share us a link. If you're a freelancer on Upwork, you could share us your public profile. So I think those profiles are sufficient proof that you're actually a freelancer. Yeah. And
now, being in Africa, and our parents all the time tell us, okay, you need to be employed, you need to have a job, you need to have a place that you need to be going to every morning.
Yeah.
But now here is a world where now freelancing is one of the things that people are really focusing into. So do you think this really is a way, like in the coming years, when you look at freelancing, do you think this is what is going to be maybe in very many people's houses when you look at freelancing?
Definitely, I think so. Like I mentioned earlier, with COVID coming in, a lot of things have changed. A lot of employers have figured out that what they needed to hire people to come in-house to do, they can easily outsource it to freelancers. So that is one thing. Secondly, with internet penetration getting into the world generally, expanding into the world, a lot of people are getting into technology and able to access these facilities to actually freelance. With this trend, you figure out that a lot of people are now starting to get comfortable like being freelancers, even though this may not have been possible in the last few years. Yeah.
All right, and now even as we come to a close of the conversation, what would you tell a young person who is outside there and they want to get into freelancing, but they don't really know what to do? They just say, okay, I want to freelance on something. What would you tell a young person?
I think first, or a few things is first, you need to figure out what exactly you want to do, which of the skilled jobs you want to actually familiarize yourself with. Is it content marketing? Is it software engineering? Is it any of the skilled roles? You need to familiarize yourself with it. You need to actually hone your skills and be sure that you're very solid with it, because the freelancing market is very competitive. Because if I'm trying to hire a freelancer from, let's say, even just Africa, you know that you're competing across among other Africans as well. So you need to be sure that your skills as well is like really solid, because you're in a very competitive market. And then you need to go out there and try your luck.
Right, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
Idoreyin Obong, who is the CEO Gray Inc., right? And he's been talking to us about the freelance business and what this means in Africa. And they are in Kenya. They're trying to help freelancers in Kenya. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
all right, now let's move on. Pet health agenda featured predominantly in a congress organized by the Kenya Small and Companion Veterinary Association at the Kenya Veterinary Board headquarters in Kabete to offer its members continuous professional development. The congress brought together stakeholders in the small animal health space, such as Kenya Veterinary Board, veterinary clinics, clinicians, academia, research, suppliers, and pet pharmaceuticals and diagnostics from Greece, United Kingdom, Burundi, Zanzibar, among other countries. Our reporter Dr. Paul Kangede attended this congress and now brings us this report.